Okay, welcome to our pod. I want to welcome everyone here. Hi, my name is Larissa Roan. I am your host. And today I'm going to be having a conversation with this wonderful lady to my left. And this is my aunt. And now, before I go any further, I actually want to read a disclaimer. And the disclaimer that I'm going to read, because of the very sensitive nature of our discussion. So the content of this podcast includes discussions about sensitive topics, including child sexual trauma, which may be triggering for some listeners. Our goal is to foster healing, awareness, and empower through these conversations. However, we encourage listeners to prioritize their well-being and to take breaks if needed. If you or someone you know is struggling, please seek support from a trusted professional or hotline in your area. Listener discretion is advised. I want to introduce my guest. My guest so happened to be my aunt, yes, my biological aunt. This is my Aunt Joan. This episode is very personal to me because my beautiful aunt here is also a survivor of child sexual abuse at the hands of my perpetrator. And so we're going to get into it. But before I go any further,
welcome to the Awaken to Purpose podcast, a podcast by survivors for survivors of childhood sexual trauma and chronic illness warriors. Here, we get honest about healing, transformation, and awakening to our God-given purpose. Hi, I'm Larissa, mother, author, nonprofit founder, survivor empowerment coach, and your host. Around here, we shift mindsets, change the narrative, and create a new norm from a faith-filled lens. So let me ask you, have you ever wished someone would speak more openly about the complexities of healing? Ever longed for a space that sees you without judgment or performance? You are not alone. This podcast is anchored in Revelations 12:11 and Romans 12:2. We're breaking silence, reassigning shame, and healing forward. Join me. Let's journey to free and awaken to purpose together.
I wanted my aunt to introduce herself.
Hi. Hi, listeners. My name is Joan.
And so before we even get into the conversation, Auntie Joan, I want to say two things. One, I know we're going to be touching on some sensitive topics, and I want you to know that whatever question I ask that you do not feel comfortable answering, just know that you don't have to. Okay? You too can stop at any point if this gets a bit challenging or triggering or just uncomfortable, period. You don't have to answer them. And the second thing is why this is so important to me. I wanted to say thanks, many thanks, and I've said thanks before, but I feel as if I'm forever grateful and indebted to you, because as we get into the story and your listeners, you will hear, she is one of the key persons in supporting me rather, to stand up and to tell my story and to be as brave and courageous at the time that I needed to be, because I know she had my back at one of the most pivotal periods in my life. What I'm referring to is a few years ago, and as you guys listen, the stories will unfold, when I decided to break my silence and to tell my story. After years of holding on to whatever had happened, she was one of the family members that decided to stand by me when others were telling me still not to speak because of everything that would transpire, including bringing shame on the family. But she was brave and courageous in her own right and decided that, along with me, that enough was enough. So, Auntie Joan, just to get started, do you care to share with the listeners just a little bit about your childhood in general?
My childhood experience was very good, separate and apart from happened, but my childhood was great. I think so.
Well, speaking about what happened, what memory do you have? And we're not going into details, but can you recall at what age you were when this all started for you?
I don't remember the age. I have no idea. I don't know if I suppress it, but I know that it was before I was 12. But I don't remember the exact age that I was when it started. But I know it stops at 12.
What age did you start seeing your
15.
cycle? 15? Okay. My other question is, when you think about, and what happened?
She's thinking. Boy.
She seemed like she had a memory, so I'm just... When you think about that time when the abuse occurred, or when it was occurring, what stands out most about your experience? You want to talk about that story of how you would escape in your mind what was happening. What was happening in the physical.
Okay, when I was younger, and maybe too is, I don't even know if it was that, or it's because I didn't have a father figure like in my life. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I go to bed, I have a family, another family that was rich, and it was like a perfect family in my head that I have to play out every night before I could fall asleep. Yeah, I couldn't sleep every night when I have to sit, and I lay in my bed. I have to think, I have to live like I'm living a different life in my mind, like it's the life that I would want to live when I grow up or something like that. So every night I just live that life in my mind. With the man that they said was my father, that I know because he was kind of rich, I was living that life under that umbrella every night before I fall asleep. If I don't live that life, I would never fall asleep. If I have to just in my mind and then just go play that what we were doing when everything, was just playing in my mind until I fell asleep.
So during the process that the abuse would happen nightly, that's where you went to escape. Because I remember that was a part of what we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another thing that stand out too was like this man, like on a Saturday, and I was scared for a Saturday morning to come because I know that I was a target then. I would be used and abused because he normally went to the cane field, and even if the breakfast was almost ready, he would leave. Even if my mother was like dishing out his breakfast for him to take, he would leave and tell her to send the breakfast with me to the cane field, and she's not to send nobody with me. She's to send me alone. Must come. And sometimes I went and it happened, and then when I was supposed to be going back, and I would cry and cry and cry and cry. I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And they said I was lazy. My mother always said, you're too damn lazy. And all of those things, but she didn't know why I was crying. I didn't want to go. And this is like every Saturday when it was crop time.
And you want to touch on, first of all, let me say, the individual that we're speaking of in person happens to be her mother, which is my grandmother's husband. And the story you're relaying to is what would happen whenever you brought this breakfast to him every Saturday, right? What he would do to you in the cane field. And why do you think that stands out of everything?
I don't know, because maybe I don't know why it stands out. But the other times stand out too, and I normally have to hide under the bed, hiding from him, like on a Friday night when my mother normally goes to the market. And like when she left, I normally go under the bed and hide. And that man always search and find me, draw me out, and all of that.
See, Mom was only 6 when he began her, and for my beautiful aunts, some of what he did still remains a blur, trying to escape but finding no safe spaces, creating in the mind alternate universes of happy but non-existent places.
I remember those things. Yeah.
Speaking of all of that, when all of these things were happening and during those early ages, did you ever think about talking to anybody, to tell anybody what was happening?
No, I did not really think of telling anybody because I was threatened if I talk, what would happen. So I was scared. So I wasn't thinking of telling anybody because I was afraid.
And this is one of the very telling things to me when not just us, but other survivors that have had these experiences, and you hear people in general talk about why did it take people so long to talk. Imagine being a child, because that's her story, that happens to be my story as well, that we were threatened, and threatened in the most violent way of him basically unaliving people if we had spoken. And I know that's a part of your story, Mom's story. And so as a child, well, let me ask you and not put words in your mouth. As a child hearing this, what made you believe this? And 2, what did it do to you as a child?
Because the thing is, he was always sharpening his machete, or you call it machete. He was always sharpening his machete, so we don't know. I didn't know if he would do it yes or no, because he was always sharpening the machete, so I was scared. Yeah.
And how do you think that impacted you growing up, always hearing this and having that memory? Did it show up in any other way, the fear?
Maybe, I don't know, but maybe that fear, I was so, what the word is, I was aggressive. I know that, and up to now I'm still aggressive, but not so much, because I've been praying over it. And I think it has things to do with that, because I bottle up so many things inside of me, those anger, the fear and everything, the hatred. Because one of the time I ate men. Yeah, so it bottled up, and I was so aggressive. Although when I was growing up I was so tiny, but I was aggressive in my spirit. I was aggressive.
Do you think that had something to do with you trying to protect yourself? Where the aggression came from, and it just developed? Because yes, I can attest to that. As a child, I was so afraid of her because she had so much aggression. Just the very way she spoke, her tone was so rough and brass, and just that aggression. I was shit scared of her. Do you think, I know you said you've been praying over that, and we still do see bouts of that with you, that level of aggression, but yes, it has subsided a lot. And no, it's not just because now I'm grown up and I'm an adult, but we've seen the change over the years. But do you think it's just with you praying about it why it's dissipating? Or
No, not just praying about it, because if you pray and you don't act, the prayer doesn't make sense, because you have to act on your prayer. Because just praying alone can't help. You have to do something as well. So I tried, because even now, sometimes at work, I tried to be calm and all those things that I don't. But sometimes, especially with the male drivers, I'm very, very, like, short. So sometimes I have to try, even at work, to calm my spirit, and I know that I pray every morning about it before going to work, but then if I don't do something, nothing will be done. So I try my best to try to calm myself, not to get angry at the simplest thing somebody would say, especially a male.
So a lot of your aggression is just towards male.
Right.
Wow. Have you really been able to sit and to process as to this is why you react the way you react?
I've never really sat down and processed it, but sometimes I just cross my mind and just think, say, maybe this is it. And maybe by thing too, maybe because, I don't know, because I didn't have a father in my life. I think that plays a part too. Not having a father, and then this man that is supposed to be like a father is the one that is trying to abuse you in that way.
He wasn't trying, he did.
He abused you in that way, so maybe that is why, maybe both of them come together. Because growing up, I felt like I was an unwanted child and all of that, because I normally look at my siblings, and I said, even if their father is not there with them, they still have somebody that they could pinpoint and say, that is my father. I really didn't have anybody that I could say, that is my father. So I would normally think about those things, and maybe those are the things too that I just keep myself to myself, like, because I felt as if I was an unwanted child, not having a father in my life and then being abused by this monster. I was unwanted.
How did all of that impact the view you had of yourself growing up? Like, I know you just touched on you felt unwanted, but in what other ways did all of that impact you?
Yes, because even at school, it was the other night, I was thinking, and I was saying, I was a brilliant girl in school. I was just thinking about, because when I graduated from C4 Sec, it was at the same time the cast was taking students from secondary school. And I was there in my bed, and I was saying, why they didn't choose me? I was so bright in maths. I always come first. It was three of us. I was the only female. First, second, third. If it's not me, Captain or Prince. And he was even saying, this girl Angela wasn't as bright as I am.
You weren't just calling me.
But she went, they placed her, they took her, and she went to class, and I was there, and I was saying to myself, maybe because I was poor, and I was like a loner then, per se, because I didn't have a lot of friends and all of that. So I was saying, why didn't they choose me to go to class?
And how did that make you feel, coupled with the fact of everything else that was going on?
Yeah, it made me feel like I was a nobody. Like, in myself, I feel less than when I should not have been. Feel myself less than others, like some persons were better off than me. I know that I am grown, I realize that nobody's better off than me.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You got that right. So how, during all those years, and with all of these things building up on the inside, how did you handle all of this? Because while we know you weren't talking about it, but what were some of the outlets? How did you cope during those earlier years?
With my the little family that I have in my mind, that's what my coping skill. I have that little family that I can go to. I have that little family. Oh my gosh, that I when I sleep and I have that family. Oh my gosh, it was great. So maybe that was my coping skill.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have felt like. The fact that that was your escape, you had to create this fake family in your mind to cope with what was going on. But outside of the made up family that you had in your head, and at least I'm grateful that you even had that to cope, in what ways did the trauma affect your relationship with family members, the real family members and others around you?
I don't think it affect my family members because I think everybody loved me. But then I don't think have any great effect on my family because like nobody knew, so
Right.
nobody knew, so I didn't think I was just me.
Okay, fast forward later into adult years. After the story broke and things started coming out, how do you think that affected your relationship with family?
Well, the majority of my family members was okay, but the few that wasn't okay, that I was very close to, and then we weren't speaking. It separated me from my family in that sense because the closeness that we had, it still not have gone back to that stage. We're almost there, but we are far from there. Yeah.
Let me just pause to give some context to that, because what we are referring to, which we will get into in a little bit, is when the story broke, I started speaking publicly. What ended up happening after that was there was a rift and a major shift in the family, especially because after 30 something years for me, which was a few more years for you, that I finally spoke. And as a result of that, a court case ensued, which we ended up bringing our abuser to justice. And during that period, there was a split in our family. Of course, there were some that understood and were somewhat supportive. There are a few that were really supportive, and then there were others that it just caused a major rift. And that is what my aunt is speaking to, is that for a few people, there have been some mending that has been happening. It's been extremely slow because one thing that we've learned that we already knew, when words are spoken, there's certain things you can't take back. Things of this sort really expose people's character at times, and being a survivor of something this traumatic, this painful, really, when you are not supported, or worse, called a liar and called all manner of things, it really creates a rift. And so some of us have been on the mend since, and others, as she said, it's been very slow. So Auntie Joan, what has helped you the most as it relates to healing? What has been helping you on your healing journey?
Well, what has helped me is persons that I have that I can talk to. I have persons that I can talk to, family members and friends that knows about the story. I can relate to them, and some of them are even victim or themselves. So that is one of the coping methods that I have used. And then when I got saved and learned how to pray, knowing how to talk to my Jesus, that helps a lot. And I have church family that I can rock on, can call on for prayer, can call on for advice, and we can just call and chit chat.
That has been one of my healing strategies too. Speaking, I am a great advocate for that. Sharing, it doesn't, I've always said this, it doesn't have to be in this format, but having people to speak to, because for every survivor, I think it's safe for me to say, we all want to be seen, heard, our stories validated. We want to be believed. And many people don't have that. Many people are afraid to speak because they don't feel as if they would be believed or understood or even accepted. But I find that speaking has been one of those things that has helped me a great deal as well. And this is a little bit more on the personal front. How did you feel when you learned that I'm talking about Candy. You guys will know, if you don't know yet, Candicia is my youngest sister. She's 10 years my junior. She's my baby sister. And Candicia happens to also be a survivor of this man. But how did that make you feel when you learned that Candy and I had fallen victims to this man?
I was angry. If I could kill that man, I would kill him. Yeah, I was very angry. Yeah.
And this is something that I've been wanting to ask, that I can't remember, of all the conversations we've had, I don't remember ever asking you this. But I wanted to know, during the process after Mom had left and, was overseas, and we ended up in that yard, and I say yard, at my grandmother's house. There was a period that you were living there when we were there. Did you ever think, or ever stop to think that?
To you? Because most of the time you were sick, so I know I didn't think about it. That you would do something like that.
All right, so that time when you found out, because I remember that vividly, when you were the first person that I came to after I found out that he started to do whatever to Candy. And let me be very clear, I made the discovery. I was 13 at the time, and this had been happening. It started initially with molestation, and then at the ages of 11 through 16, it went into full-on, I'll say this, but I guess we probably will have to mute it depending on the platform we put it on, but right. So I was 13 when I discovered that he had now set his gaze now on my little sister. Initially, the abuse started when I was 5. And when I spoke, I had told my mom, and whatever happened, we'll talk about that in another episode. I wasn't living there. I had just stayed over one night, and he did what he did. And I never went back. But then my parents migrated, but I ended up back up at my grandmother's house. So from ages 11 until then. But I never spoke about it again because of what transpired when I was 5, and my telling and what I was asked and all of that. But at 13, when I realized what was happening to my baby sister, I went to Auntie Joan and I told her then what happened. And I remember she sprung into action. She was shocked and upset, and she brought me and my sister to my grandaunt's house. They had discussion. Long story short, there were a couple grandaunts that were brought in the midst, we were still told. Before I go any further, do you recall back then what happened as to why Nini, your mother, my grandmother, was not told, but the decisions were made to take us out of the house?
Because they said we're not to tell Nini. Because of the same man and his threatening, they were afraid that if we tell Nini was going to say something, and then he would be getting abusive, like physical, to kill, because he was always talking that he'll kill, so they were afraid. They would always say, don't tell Nini, because they don't want him to do anything to hurt her if she faced him.
And so the end result of that was my sister and I were split up. I was sent somewhere to live with another grand aunt. She was sent back to my aunt. All of this. During that period, how did that make you feel as an aunt and us being your niece and finding this out, and yet we're being told not to say anything to protect me?
It's useless, because I was like useless because they were the elders and we have to listen to them, and you feel like you being an aunt then that wasn't even necessary, because you couldn't do the thing that you wanted to do. Because if it was for me, I would have told Nene all along time, doesn't care what would happen. Or maybe nothing would happen, but because we were scared and we were warned. Even like that man, he threatened us, and then when we went and told our aunts and sister, they are saying don't tell Nene. And because we were told to obey elders, we obeyed them, and we didn't say anything because they were the adults. So maybe, I don't know what they were afraid of either, because they was afraid of something why they tell us not to tell Nene. When something like that, they said don't tell. Why they didn't want us to tell Nene? I don't know.
I think, finish what you were saying.
Go ahead.
No, I think for me, that was and has been one of the most damning parts of all of this for me, growing up, and whatever happened as a child, but then even into adult years when it spilled over where we're still being told not to tell, not to tell, not to tell. And it was always to protect my grandmother. And I can recall, it just made me feel exactly what you just said. It made me feel worthless. It made me feel helpless. It made me feel as if I didn't matter. That's what I got from, because this was coming from so many people. I was 13 and we had discovered whatever. There were several of them, a few of them that knew. Yet fast forward to 2016 when the story broke out, people were saying they didn't know. And again, it made me feel that we did not matter. Keeping the secret and keeping the family intact was more important than helping or standing with the survivors, and bigger than that, outing this individual after he'd done so much in the family. But yeah, it made me feel as if I didn't matter. And that took a toll on me personally, because I felt as if I didn't matter to anyone, not my mother, not my aunts, not my grand-aunts. I just did not matter. Felt like you're just discarded and treated like you're nobody. But yeah, that was one of the things that I really struggled with, and hence the reason I'm asking my aunt, how did that really impact you? Because fast forwarding to when the story broke, when I finally spoke, and what happened there, it's again long story, but it got to the place where I had just had enough, and I decided this was it. There was one aunt in particular that her daughter had told her what had happened, and I guess she didn't believe, and she wanted to know what her dad had done. And she had called, said that she wanted to talk to me. I had gone yet again to Auntie Joan and said, this aunt, which is her sister, is calling and she's asking me what happened. And at that point, I had already called my mom to say what was happening. And once again, she had told me not to say anything. And I was saying, I'm getting sick of this, and I'm tired of it, because my sister and I, we were constantly being put in situations where we were being asked to go back to the house. This is after we had already left Jamaica, but now we're traveling back and forth and being asked to go to the house to show face and to keep the family intact. And so it was creating a lot of internal conflict turmoil, all of that. And my sister was always the courageous one that she was just like, no, I'm not going there. And if I'm going there, she's making it known that she doesn't want to be there. But at this point in time, I turned to my aunt and I said, hey, she's going to, as in my other aunt is going to be calling me, and I'm tired of this, and I want to say, but and my oldest aunt was saying, no, still don't tell. And when I went to Auntie Joan, I don't even think you were there. I think I had called you. You weren't at the house today. Do you remember? And I said, hey, I called you, and I said, my other aunt is going to be calling me, and I'm just tired. Auntie Joan, I'm tired. And Auntie Joan, from that day, she said to me, Larissa, you don't have to say anything. I will say. As a matter of fact, I will call her or let her call me, and I'll tell her. And she stood on her word, and she was actually the one that broke the news to her and told her that, yes, this has happened. Do you remember, did you feel any fear during that time?
No, because I remember when you called and I said, yes, Larissa, I'm tired of it too. It's time it's go. And I remember vividly, I was on community. I was doing midwifery. Mm-hmm. And I was on community, and that nurse at the nurse home, and she called me. I remember she called me because it was when they wanted, I think her father was in England and they wanted to come over here.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And she called me and she said, you know why Larissa and her sister don't want me to want Put to come over them yard? Is it because Put the box rose? And I said, no, it's not that. And she said, no. I said, I can't talk to you now because I was doing field duty. I was on duty. So I said, I can't talk to you now. Call me back later. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk to you. And then I remember I called my elder sister and she said, don't tell her. And I called my next sister and she said, don't. And I said, I'm going to tell her now. I said, she called me back, I'm going to tell her. Mm-hmm. And she did. She did call me back and I told her.
Do you remember what her response was then?
Yeah, she said she didn't know that her father was a monster. That's what she said to me. I didn't know that my father was a monster. I didn't know, so why you didn't tell me? I said, what could you do if I told you?
Let's fast forward then to when the court case came up. Because there was this incident that even after that, there was they're lying, when she was told multiple times of this happening, because there was the case of him admitting it to her in this very house, right? Then there was that, and to my grandmother, your mom. So they all knew on multiple occasions, but then when the matter came out and we were going to court, then we were told that we're lying on this man. And to the listeners, I know from what you've heard so far, it seems that this is more traumatic, as in speaking up is more traumatic than anything else. And to be honest, there's a lot of healing that comes. As much as it's scary, it's frightening. Yes, there's the risk of family members behaving a particular way. But throughout all of that, there is healing to experience in telling your story, in telling your truth, in facing what has happened. Do you think our shared experience shapes how we view our family now after everything that has happened? What is your view of the family?
Well, some of the family members, we are still close, but I think families should support each other, and especially when person know that you're telling the truth. But I don't know what they're trying to hide, or they don't want to face the reality in knowing that these things happen. If it didn't happen to them, it happened. And I think they should believe us, even us as adults. It's not that like we're children, but an adult, when we're in an adult situation and we put these things out, family should support us. But with our family members, we didn't get that support that we should have gotten from everybody, because some persons up to today, they don't even want to mention it. Right. It's like they're afraid. They're afraid that they don't even want to come up to you to say X, Y, Z, what happened, how are you coping, or whatever. They don't. I don't know if they're afraid of the word. I don't know. I don't know why.
How does that make you feel, though? Not even to say, as you said, how are you dealing? How are you coping? They don't even ask that. It's as if it's
like it's nothing.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
It's nothing. And they don't understand the depths of what you have to deal with. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel?
Well, that would make me feel. It's just like I don't know, sometimes it comes like I don't really have any feelings. It's coming like, I don't care.
You're numb.
Yeah.
You're numb.
I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't really matter what that person want to think anymore, or this person want to think. It just doesn't matter anymore, because it's done and it's real. It's not a fairy tale. This is something that is real, and it is not easy. And person would see you sometimes going and they don't know. Because when I tell you, I normally have nightmares constantly. It's just like lately, about like a couple of years, I'm not having those nightmares when I'm always running from this man and all of that. So it's not easy.
And it's him that you're running from in the nightmare?
Yes, sometimes, yeah. I remember one of the nightmare, and I ran up to Auntie, can call her? I ran up to my aunt's house, and I remember this man was running behind me, and it's like, I get brave now and I take up 2 stones. And I said, I'm not running anymore. I'm not running. If you come near me, I'm going to lick you down with these, I'm going to lick you with these stones. And I stand up firm, and I didn't run. And he didn't come near me. Yeah.
These are some of the things that survivors don't talk about. As in, we know what happens in childhood. I believe what happens in childhood pales in comparison to how it shows up in adult years. When you think about relationships, whether it's intimate partner relationships or raising your children, things of that sort, I'm going to ask you that. How do you think your experience affected your parenting and then your intimate relationships?
I don't know if it affects my parenting, because I am so glad that, because I always say I don't want any girl children.
Me too.
And I was blessed not to have any, although I have one daughter. But I always didn't want any girl children. And I'm grateful to God. So I don't think with my parenting, I don't think it affected in that way, because I didn't have to be looking, watching, because I had 2 boys then. I wouldn't have to be looking and wondering if this man is going to touch them, but I don't think so. But with relationship now, maybe it affect my relationship, because I just say I didn't like men. I was afraid of men. I was skinny when I was growing up, and they normally call me some sort of names. I was just afraid of men, period. I hate men, yeah.
Do you think you've overcome that, or you still have reservations when it comes
Maybe
to
I
that?
still have, because...
You do.
Yeah. Because sometimes even in my marriage now, sometimes I see my husband like I just remember things from the past when, I don't know. So maybe it affected too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe so. But that's one of the things that when you don't heal or we don't get the opportunity to really process, and I'm not saying that you're healing, you're not healed, but when you haven't really had the opportunity to process what really happened and to know the different ways it's showing up in your relationships, then you really don't have words for it, right? But like you, I saw it and I laughed. Like you, I was the same, where I would pray, I was begging God to not let me have a daughter. And amazingly, I have 2 sons. However, after my sons were born, I realized that it didn't matter if I had a daughter or daughters. It didn't make a difference, because when I tell you, I used to be just as panicky with my boys. But I'm going to jump ahead and then come back to the questions I have to wrap up. And this is going to be in regards to the court process, right? Prior to my coming out and my speaking and the court process, did you ever think in your wildest dream that would have been a thing that you would have done, like to press charges against them?
No.
And for me, it had been over 30 years. So for you, how many years had it been? Have you ever calculated that?
No, but it's was over.
Over 40.
Yeah.
I want to believe, at least. All right. What was it like for you to serve as a witness on that case?
It was joy.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. You said it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure for me to go there. Yeah.
What did you feel in those moments, like when you had to take the stand and you saw him there, and not to mention all the showdowns in the court and how he was behaving? Did that faze you at all with all the shenanigans that he was doing in the court? We gonna cut that? Yeah.
Go again.
I was asking, when you had to take witness stand and stuff, and you had to face him, what was that feeling like for you?
Well, for me, I just wanted I wanted the judge to sentence that man. That was what I wanted, for him to get a sentence. I wanted him to go to prison. I surely did. And I was upset. I was mad when it didn't happen. Yeah.
And that's something we're going to touch on at a different date. But yeah, that, so technically he was sentenced, quote unquote, but served his time at home. And I too wanted him to be in prison at least for a year, too, something.
I was in prison for 3 days.
Even, but it didn't happen that way. But did you feel supported or prepared during that process, or you were just ready and wanted to?
I was just ready for anything, because I just wanted this thing to get over with. So I reached that stage and I just didn't care. I didn't care what people want to say. I didn't care I just wanted that man to be behind bars.
How do you feel now about being a part of the case and the role that you played?
I feel accomplished, that although I didn't get what I wanted, but still I got something, and I feel like something was accomplished. We accomplished something great, and that's very good, because we went out in the opening, and nothing no longer covering up that we are ashamed of, because we didn't do anything to be ashamed of. So good with that.
Do you feel that being involved in the case helped your healing journey?
It sure did.
In what way?
Because it let me realize that I have nothing to be ashamed of. I did nothing wrong. And to be ashamed and didn't want to talk about it. I did nothing wrong. So it's like I'm free. I can talk about it now to anybody I want to talk about it with. Like first time I would be ashamed of saying anything.
Right.
But now I'm not.
Where do you think that comes from? What is the shame there for you? What before?
The shame is like to know that that man is like supposed to be a father to you and he did that thing to you.
Yeah.
You're ashamed.
Yeah.
It's like you're ashamed to even think that an elder would do something like that.
Right.
Somebody who's supposed to be your father.
Yeah.
You know?
Trust me, I know. Well, I think you kind of answered this, but you feel that sharing your voice in the legal system brought you personal closure or empowerment?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What would you advise, or what advice would you give to someone that's preparing to be a witness in a similar case?
Well, I'll tell such a person, don't be afraid. Just be bold. Go out in confidence. You know you're not lying. So from you know that you're not lying, you have nothing to be afraid about. You have nothing to hide. So just go out with boldness. Don't let no one, and I said no one, intimidate you. You're a woman in your own might and strength. So just go out and do what you want to do, because it's your life. You know what you have been through. You know what you're experiencing now. When you talk about it, it enhances the healing process.
It really does. It really does. How do you think the justice system could help survivors? Because our case was something. But what do you think can be done from that standpoint to help survivors and witnesses that comes forward with their story?
All they could do, I think, like to put some program in place for counseling, because persons need to be counseling. It is very important. I think I do need counseling. So if the system could put something in place, a system in place where persons can be counseled in regard to these things, I think that would be good.
Is there anything you learned about yourself or the family going through that process?
Well, I don't know. But about the family, the one thing I know, that who will say they love you.
Speak on it.
They love you, and when these things like these come up, you know that it wasn't really love, because the way how they show their love to you as a person, a victim of the situation. It doesn't feel like love. It doesn't look like love, because I don't think a person should love you and then they criticize you. They talk so many bad things about you, even behind your presence, and that is what the family does. In our case, they speak some really hard things about us, harsh or whatever about us. When some of them knew that we weren't lying,
That part.
and we were all called liars
And dogs.
and dogs and all those names.
All the other names you can think of.
But I've learned that family, they're just family. They're just family, and they do the craziest things.
They do. And some of the most hurtful things can be said by family. But to your point, you just have to stand your ground and know that you're not lying. You know, tell your truth. And sometimes it means you have to stand alone. If that is the case, you just have to stand alone. A dear friend said this to me just a couple weekends ago, that you have to start betting on yourself. Take the reins back in your hand, take your power back and stand. If family fall off, they fall off. What does justice mean to you in the context of your own experience as a survivor?
justice, what it means, getting your rights, having your voice heard, getting your rights.
And getting your power back.
Right.
Right. Because you said something earlier that is most powerful. Listen, when you speak and you know that you're standing in your truth, it is the most empowering feeling. You did not do anything wrong, and you deserve to seek justice if that's the route you want to go. I wanted to ask your family members, including your mom, your sisters, when you found out, especially as an adult, when we found out that so many of us had the experience, what emotions did you feel around the fact that you weren't protected? The fact that you kept being asked over and over, even as an adult, keep the secret. How did that affect you? What did you feel about it?
I feel nothing. Girl, I don't have those feelings tonight. I don't know. I don't feel nothing. Just like...
Well, let me ask you, do you think you have accepted and forgiven your mom, your sisters, or your aunts? Or is that something you're still working through?
Forgiven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to forgive them, you know.
What does that look like for you, as in forgiving? I know we say we forgive often, and I'm not just talking about us now, but I'm saying in general. People say they forgive, but you still harbor some level of animosity or resentment. Is it?
But if you forgive, you can't harbor those things. You have to forgive, you know, and you have a clear conscience. So when you forgive somebody, you know, that means you let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a process that you have to let it go. So I don't harbor any grudge, I don't harbor any hatred. The only person I had an hatred for was the man. Yeah, because I remember one Sunday I was in church and I went to the pastor and I asked pastor, I said, Pastor, I've asked you to pray for me because I have a hatred in my heart I carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to pray for me. And then I prayed, and then after they prayed and like I got a relief, I didn't like hate the man again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I pitied him. I pitied, when I see him, I pitied him. I didn't have that hatred again. It was taken away and then it was pity. Like I felt sorry for him.
How did you, I know what you said for him as it relates, because there's a lot of stuff for you still that we have not spoken about here. For your mom and others, what did the forgiveness process look like? Was it just an acceptance that this is really what happened, you have no control over it, let me just release it? Or was it a matter that you had to talk through it? What did that look like for you?
Well, it's like for my mom again, you know, for my mother again, it's like just the Holy Spirit working through persons and because it's like, I remember I had a dream. I had a dream once with my mother, and then I called my elder sister and I told her the dream, and she said, you know why you're having these dreams? It's because you don't forgive. You don't forgive her. So you have to forgive her and let it go. Right? And I remember one Mother's Day, a Sunday morning, like I text everybody in my phone that is a mother. And I did not remember my mother to text her. I text everybody else and I didn't text. And I remember when I went to church, it's like, and the minister was preaching, and it's like he was speaking to me. He was speaking directly to me. And I said, okay, when I go home from church, I would call her and I wish her Happy Mother's Day. And I still didn't call her. I didn't call her this Sunday, I didn't call her the Monday. And I remember the Wednesday I was on fasting, and I was in the bus coming from work, and then the thing, it just, like something just come, and I said, this isn't right. Because it's like, if my mother called me, it's like I didn't even want to. I was like, say, what is woman not bother me for? And like I didn't want to speak to her. And then when I was coming in the bus, and I was there, the Holy Spirit, and I said, this isn't right. I can't. This isn't right. I was saying to myself, she didn't treat me any way different from how she treat others, and so why? I said, no, I must get rid of this, and I said, I'm gonna call her. And when I reached home, I called her that Wednesday. I called her and we have a long talk. The first when I talked so long on the phone. And then she explained, and then I got over it. Okay. Just talking about it, I got over it. And I didn't have that hatred. I don't know if it was, or resentment. Maybe it's not hatred, but it's resentment and all of that. I didn't have it anymore. And I could tell her that I love her. And that was the first. I've ever, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't even tell her that and all of that, but you have to, it's a process, and it doesn't happen overnight.
That part.
It doesn't happen overnight, and you have to have the Holy Spirit. So for those persons that are not saved, it's hard, because they don't have that inner voice, inner strength to tell them. And, because it's really hard.
Or because we're still hurting so much, you're even shunning that. Because you do have people that are saved but still struggle.
Right.
Struggle that way because with that pain that you're still carrying, it's hard to even hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. And that was going to be my next question as to the role that faith played in your healing process, which is a very pivotal part for you and for me. Yeah. Yes,
yeah, because you have to just learn to let it go. Let those things go. Because you got that rebirth, the rebirth. So the Holy Spirit now resides in you. So you have to manage yourself and just want to have that peace in your soul. So you just have to let those things go, let them go. And it's like we would say it's nothing, but it's a burden. You have something carrying, it's a burden. Because I remember when that minister prayed for me. I don't know if persons usually carry weight on their head, every load. And when you take it off, it feels as if you are growing.
Yeah.
That was how I felt after that minister prayed for me that day. I feel like a load was lifted. I feel like something lift. And I was even saying to myself, I've been carrying that and I didn't even know. You didn't even know that you're carrying it. You're carrying that load, you're carrying that burden, and you're not even conscious of it until the Holy Spirit direct you and lead you and show you. And it was like a load was taken off my head.
You say speaking openly about it also helped you to...
Helps a lot.
It helps.
Yeah, because it helps.
Hence the name, Reassign the Shame.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Speaking helps a lot. Helps a lot. It really
does.
And the thing is, when you speak, sometimes you don't even realize the amount of persons out there who are going through, who have went through that situation, and they know exactly what you're talking about, but they themselves are afraid to speak out.
Yeah. We can attest to that.
So you speaking out encourage somebody else that is going through, that they can know that they have a voice and they can speak. They have the right to speak out, and don't let this thing burden you down, because it's not good.
And it affects your health. That's a whole nother episode. The many ways in which it affects your health when you carry all of this inside. You already covered my next question would have been, how do you define peace or healing for yourself now, but you already touched on that. Is there anything you'd like to share with future generations in our family about breaking cycles of abuse?
One thing I want to say to people that we have, and we can't even say girl children anymore because the boys are being abused now too. It's not only the girls. We just have to pay attention to our children, pay good attention to them, listen to them, and let us not, we know that children are prone to tell lies, but let us not be the one to judge or to condemn a child that he or she is lying. Let us listen to our children. Listen to them. Notice them. Notice them. Because sometimes you'll have some children that are doing well in school, and then you will see that they are not functioning. They are like they are withdrawn. It's something. So as parent or parent to be, remember to pay keen attention to your children and listen to them, talk to them, and tell them where persons are not supposed to touch, because sometimes if you don't tell them, they will not know. And it's not like when we were growing up in our age when persons were hiding things from us.
Right.
There's no time now for you to be hiding stuff from your children.
No, be open.
You must let them be aware, open up to them. And let the children can trust you. You know? So you have to know, you have to have a relationship with your child or children that they can trust you and can come to you with anything. Not being afraid like how some persons were afraid of me because of my tone of voice and all of that.
And one thing I would add to that is just the importance of parents sharing their stories with their children. You know, one of the things that still grieves me today is the fact that my mother, my aunts, so many of my very close family members had this experience, and for decades I thought this was just mine and my sister's experience, and it wasn't until I was an adult, like an adult, that I found out this was my mom's story, this was my aunt's story. You know, that in of itself was devastating, because along with that came all the other complexities of having to navigate this. Like, how could this have happened? How could this have gone on for so long? And why it went on for so long? Well, we spoke about it earlier about the threats in the initial state, but it's the constant covering up, it's the hiding, it's not speaking about these things. And what we know for certain now, this is the grounds for these perpetrators to continually, and this is why it went on for generations, right? Because no one spoke. No one was telling, this is my experience. You had sisters going through the same, having the same experience at the hands of the same individual, and they didn't know. So I dare to say, talk about these things. You have families that are constantly telling their children not to do certain things, but yet there's no reason behind it. You know, share your stories with your children so they know, as you're not just dictating, you're not just saying don't do these things, but they have no context for why you're telling them these things, why you're behaving the way you're behaving, why you're so overprotective. You have to get to the place, or I dare you, try to get to the place where you become more open and speak about these things and take the shame out of it, because as Auntie Joan said earlier, you have nothing to be ashamed of. And while I know it's easier said, we had to go through that process of learning and understanding that. Have nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to feel guilt about, because none of us asked for this, you know. But again, the silence is what kept it going for generation. Auntie Joan, is there anything I haven't asked that you think is important to share? Okay. Now, what does reassigning the shame means to you personally?
Reassigning the shame, it means that there's no shame on me. There's shame on the person who does the thing to me. So that is, I'm not the one to be ashamed. That's the person who is supposed to be ashamed, not me. So you take the shame from yourself and give it to the person who is to be ashamed.
Amen. This is my personal question to you. We've been on this journey of healing together, and how can I best support you in continuing your healing journey?
I don't know if I can know. There's no other best way to support me than what you have been doing all along. Make sure that you have a listening ears. The only thing that you can do best is when I call you to answer. Because sometimes you don't answer your phone. That is the only best thing. But otherwise, you've done enough.
And once again, before I get to the final question, I personally just want to say thank you for being a rock star on this journey. It has been, which you know, it's been hell and back. It's been one of the most difficult things to undertake. I personally think the healing process is so much more challenging than even having the experience that we've had, because it's so nuanced. It comes with so many different elements of how these things affect us and affect me. And you have been a champion for me. You've been a champion and a support for, I would say, me and Candicia, because I don't know, had it not been for your support at one of the most, and I'll say this without crying, one of the most challenging, most difficult periods of my life. For all the years I felt like I did not matter to anybody. Not mom, not my aunts, not my grandmother, not my grand-aunts. I felt this unwanted feeling. I did not matter. Everything and everyone else mattered but me. The moment when you stepped up and you said enough, and you will support, and you have been doing everything to stick to that word and been showing up, I can't say thanks enough. So thank you. You know, you my road dog from day one anyhow. Yeah. All right. So the last question, and you kind of touched on it. Is there anything you would like to say to fellow survivors out there that are still in the throes of dealing with all of this, that have not spoken up?
Be yourself. Just want to tell you, be yourself. Speak out. Do what you have to do. Doesn't matter who is with you or who is against you. You just know that you have to do what you have to do, because you have to free yourself. And it's now about you, not about anybody else. You just have to have your best interest at heart. So do what makes you happy.
And with that said, Auntie Jaja, I love you.
Love you too.
And to everyone that will see this episode, I pray that you will find the courage, you will find the bravery, and you will seek somebody that you can trust to have these conversations with. And that is why we're doing this, to mobilize survivors, to create a safe space and a safe place that we can heal together. And as it says, let's journey to free. Join us, join me, and let's journey to free. I love you, again, from my heart to yours. Signing out. Until next time, God's willing.